and welcome into the Sporting News Studios. I'm Tom Vandervoort with longtime defensive NFL coach Alvin Reynolds talking about teams here in the NFL getting ready for the 2012 season. Let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys, a marquee team that has over the years had a lot of talent but maybe not achieved a lot ultimately.
Yes.
Where do you see this group this year? Tony Romo had a great season last year, but again, they didn't achieve as much as a lot of fans would have hoped.
Well, I think we need to start from the standpoint of where people thought they were weak last year, and that's the defense. Starting really not so much the front, because we know they have DeMarcus Ware and they have Spencer, who they actually franchised. And so those are two good defensive outside rushers in a 3-4 defense. I think the secondary was the most inconsistent thing that they had a year ago, but that could be a lot of reasons for that.
Right. Now, they brought in Morris Claiborne, high pick in the draft. If you're coaching, I know you coached defensive backs for most of your career. When you're coaching a young defensive back, what are some of the issues or the problems or the things they have to learn to be an NFL player?
Well, the first thing they need to do is have a great foundation. When I say a foundation, the first thing we do when you actually bring a player in, you teach them the language. You know, the language of your actual language for defense and the language what you're going to call the offense. So the nomenclature is very huge for them early to make sure they have it down. You, so to speak, you could have to crawl before you can walk. You know?
Now, as far as the physical play and what they have to deal with in NFL-type receivers, I mean, these guys tend to be bigger, they tend to be stronger, they tend to be faster. So is that a big adjustment for a guy like Morris Claiborne?
You know what? I don't think it is if they do exactly what I was talking about earlier. If they get their system down, the language, it's all about playing fast. And the faster they can play and get used to the communication, the faster they can play.
Now let's talk about on the offensive side of the ball. People have questioned Tony Romo over the years, but if you just look at his numbers last year, he had a pretty good season. Where do you see that offense going? They have some nice receivers. A lot of people think DeMarco Murray is the real deal in the backfield. Obviously, Jason Witten, now some questions about his health. So what do you see the offense going this year?
Really, I see the offense right now, what they're going to have to do is get more consistency and build a trust up front. Because I think that's one of the weak spots right now with the inside interior part of their line. And that's very important, as we know, for a quarterback. Because they're going to be the one that are protect him. They're going to be the one that are open the holes for the running back. So that's a very big thing.
And so that foundation allows him, Tony Romo, to do what he wants to do. He tends to be like a swashbuckling type of guy. A guy who tries to go out there and make plays. As a defensive coordinator or a defensive coach, are there things you're trying to do to confuse him, to disrupt him? Specifically, what would you do to Tony Romo to try to force him into those mistakes?
I think what you're trying to do with him is disguise your coverages. You don't want to give him a pre-snap look at what you're doing defensively, so he'll know exactly right now where to go with the football before he's throwing it. And so that's one thing you can do. And the other thing you can do is, of course, put pressure on him, by bringing an extra guy, by blitzing a guy, bringing a fifth guy. Rather than rush 4, you rush 5, and they keep him off balance.
Ultimately, you look at the NFC East, a lot of people think this is the best division in football. We've talked about the Giants. We've talked about the Eagles. We know those teams are good. The Cowboys, it feels like to me, could go either way. Where do you see them ending up this year?
I see them, because of maybe a little not being as strong up front. And then right now the questions with the receivers, because I think there's some injury. Miles Austin is consistently every year. He's consistently hurt.
He was injured last year.
Hamstring issues. And when you get a hamstring issue, it tend to linger and have problems with those. But this year I think I see them probably about 8-8.
8-8. All right, the Dallas Cowboy fans, they hope you're wrong, Coach. All right, for Coach Alvin Reynolds, I'm Tom Vandervoort. Thanks for watching.